All right, Act 3, Scene 3, a short scene with just a few things to say about it. It's the murderers killing Banquo in this scene, and Fleance escapes at the end of the scene. But Shakespeare does a slightly weird thing in this scene. Shakespeare introduces a third murderer. So you remember in Act 3, Scene 1, Macbeth met with two murderers. Now enter three murderers at the beginning of the scene. And the first murderer says, "But who did bid thee join with us?" So the first murderer and the second murderer don't know where this third guy's come from. He's just appeared and he's been like, "Oh yeah, Macbeth sent me to join you." Now, it's never made clear who this third murderer is. Okay, his identity has been the cause for much discussion of people talking about Macbeth over the many years. Okay, and it never comes across as clear. I've read all sorts of crazy things. I've read um, the concept that this third murderer is actually Macbeth in disguise, and he's come to make sure that the deed is done correctly because he doesn't trust the two murderers because he doesn't trust anybody. In the film by Roman Polanski, the Thane of Ross actually plays the third murderer, dressed as a murderer, and we see that actually he's involved as well. There are all sorts of directions it can be taken, but the key is it really heightens the sense of distrust and secrecy that's going on in this play. With even something as you would have thought was straightforward as hiring two murderers to go kill someone, suddenly this third murderer appears and nobody really knows who he is. And even the second murderer says he needs not our mistrust. But even if it is just a third murderer, that Macbeth has been like, right, actually, I feel like we need three murderers, and he's hired him and sent him along as well. It shows that Macbeth didn't trust murderer one and two to get the job done. And it shows how much Macbeth is second guessing everything, and how much he is doesn't trust anyone, and how much that is really weighing on his psyche. And we started to see that in scene one and scene two, but here we see an example of it, of kind of him making rash decisions like just hiring a third murderer because he doesn't trust anyone or anything. The other thing to say in this scene is their continuation of use of light and dark imagery. Banquo keeps talking about light, and when Banquo arrives, the second murderer shouts, "A light, a light," and then when they kill Banquo, the third murderer says, "Who did strike out the light?" So Banquo is being associated with the idea of light here, as opposed to Macbeth in the last scene, who's very much associated with the idea of darkness, and he's just been murdered. And of course, Fleance runs. He escapes and he gets away, which is not great for Macbeth because the whole point of the prophecy was that Banquo's children were going to become kings, and there goes Fleance, still alive. Anyway, that's it. That's done. Just some interesting stuff about that third murderer and that light and dark imagery you should be aware of. Next screencast, we'll be moving on to Act 3, Scene 4.